Being a creative, it's having the ability to, one, make that invisible visible, because the things you're creating are sort of out there, out of reach, and almost not accessible, but you have that special talent to bring them to life. And secondly, it's probably being able to solve problems the right way. That's what I think being creative is.
Being a creative means being able to spark that energy within someone's senses, being able to give that wow factor that you don't see, and just having that gleam in their eyes that everybody loves.
For me, being a creative means that you're someone who can draw connections and see the correlation between two seemingly unrelated topics and then create something out of it.
Being a creative means taking on new challenges and solving problems. Also changing the narrative in the industry in which you find yourself.
In the 21st century, I would recommend that you read a lot and also stay healthy, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, because I believe creativity comes from here and here. And most of all, just embrace your fears in creating new things. There's no other way to do it.
Creatives can maximize their potential by being open to utilizing their network, continuously innovating and stepping out of their comfort zones.
I think one of the most important things that creatives should figure out if they want to maximize their potential is putting themselves within the right context. The abilities you have, the things you can do are more powerful if you put it in the right context and in the right systems. So it's finding those collaborations, it's finding those connections that will then amplify what you can do. So in addition to everything else, find the right context, plug yourself in, and what you're doing can be more significant than if you're just by yourself on your little island.
Hi, welcome to Atmosphere 4.0 by dEX Ghana. As an organization that stands for creating experiences that take creatives away from their workspaces, COVID-19 made organizing this year's event a very huge challenge. Nevertheless, here we are. It gave us the opportunity to extend the experience beyond Ghana and involve other African countries. This year, we have participants from Nigeria, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Kenya. It also gave us the opportunity to partner with organizations like Nairobi Design Week and Dear Designer in Nigeria. Over the past 2 years, our goal has been to help creatives find and improve their value through experiences like dEX Artmosphere, dEX Lingo, and Space Bar. Our idea has been to find interesting and fun ways of uniting the creative community. In this digital age, we believe creatives need to be part of every level of decision making. Our mission is to make sure creatives are ready for this role, and this is the reason why we chose the theme Creative Entrepreneurship, Bankable Skillsets for the Workplace. In the next few hours, our seasoned speakers are going to share their experiences from every level of industry. Enjoy the sessions, have fun, share your experiences on social media, and let the world know Africa is where creativity lives.
All right, welcome to the show. My name is Ivan Dapor. I am your host, and I'm holding down the post, dEX 4.0. Right, so just gone by, that was Daniel Ampofo. That was our president. Did I say was? I mean, is our president, our leader, our class prefect, our, what else? He's a zaddy, somebody would say. But yeah, you get the point. So, on today's show, or let me say today's package, we've got good stuff. Like, I mean, good stuff, right? We've got 5 good speakers to talk to you on, like, different topics. We've got portfolio presentations. We've got, oh wow, we've got giveaways. Who doesn't like free things? Yeah. Oh, and we have got something special. We're going to launch something very special. So that's like towards the end of the show. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you for tuning in from all over, from wherever you are, watching from your tabs, watching from your phones, watching from your laptops, your PCs, your screens on the fridge, from your bathroom, wherever. We say thank you. So, this is where I say, move on to the very first speaker. Send your tweets with the hashtag dEX Artmosphere 04. Like, you see it on the screen, right? You see it? Nice. dEX Artmosphere. And tell your friends, share the feed, let everybody connect, and we move. Enjoy the show. dEX Artmosphere 4.
Hi guys, my name is Sunita Cragbe. I'm founder and CEO of Basecamp Initiative. And today, since we're addressing the topic of creative etiquettes, I'm here to discuss how to be a valuable creative. In the first place, I do believe we need to define the term valuable. So textbook definition would be something that is valuable or someone that is of value, is useful, important, worth a great deal of money. Let's not forget the money aspects, okay? So when talking about creativity, many make reference to soft skills and hard skills. So with regards to soft skills, we have the technical knowledge acquired through a job or through education. And hard skills would be their abilities applied in a job. So being maybe being attentive, being organized, being disciplined, and so on and so forth. So when making reference to being a valuable creative, there are three, okay, per se, there would be three categories we need to look at. So we have the creative process itself, we have creative attributes, and we have the creative culture. So those are the three topics I would like to address today. The creative process makes reference to the stages a creative goes through when working on a piece or taking in a brief from a client. The creative attributes are personality traits or character traits that a creative should have or should exhibit in order to be a valuable creative. And the creative culture is the routine a creative needs to embed in his lifestyle in order to bring value to the market or value to the table. Okay, so let's take it one step at a time. Going back to the creative process. Initially, usually when a client approaches you for a request, be it a design request or videography production, photography production, the first step, the most important step, is to establish your worth. Sorry. So in order to establish your worth, you need to be able to display what you've done in the past in terms of the pieces you have crafted, produced, and so on and so forth. So the ideal thing would be to share your portfolio with the client of interest in order to ascertain credibility. Okay? Now, once you've ascertained credibility, you issue a quote and preferably an agreement with mild terms and conditions so the client understands what he's dealing with and how much the service is going to cost. Should you go ahead and issue the quotes from the first contact, it's advisable not to skip the step of sharing your portfolio because you need to ascertain credibility. Usually pricing is associated with value in terms of what you can offer. Hence the reason why I do recommend sharing the portfolio in the first place. The next step, once both parties have agreed on the rates and the terms and conditions, would be to develop a brief. And the brief could be a questionnaire that you've already crafted, that you have in your database that you share with the client, or the clients could be the one sending the brief your way, and you would revise it slightly to meet the standards of your company. However, there needs to be a brief. If there is no brief, it's very difficult to define the thread or the line, the journey from start to finish that you should be following as a creative. The brief also allows you to be specific towards what you're supposed to deliver, what the client requires, what the client's preferences are. And, should anything fire back in the later stages of the creative journey, you can always refer back to the brief and pinpoint to the client that this is what we had agreed on initially, this is what you requested for. Hence the reason why we delivered it this way. What's also very important is once you've developed a brief, you need to question the brief. This is one of the most important things that I learned throughout my career as a creative, that at times we do have clients that will bring forth a request, and we jump straight in there and we start brainstorming and crafting, and before we realize, we're completely, skewed from what the original intent was. From experience, I've noticed that there are circumstances where clients actually want A, but what would be better for the product they are marketing or the service they are marketing is actually B. That's why you need to question the brief. So questioning the brief means collecting the data gathered from the client and actually, let me say, playing the devil's advocate on the different topics of interest in the brief to see if you do not need to provide the client with a counter brief that is more relevant to their need or the request at hand. So the next step is to have a brainstorming culture. Again, once you get the brief, don't jump right into it and start crafting. People have different ways of getting inspired. What works with me might not work with you or could work with you. And there are different ways to brainstorm. At times, most people get inspired by their environment. Most creatives feed off of the environment. So it is quite recommended to partake in all kinds of conversations with peers, all kinds of leisure activities that could spark an idea in your right brain, and also go through specific exercises, maybe like mind mapping, for example, which is a very familiar exercise we used to do back in school, but we actually take for granted today. I've done quite a couple of sessions with some members in my hub whereby we use the mind mapping technique to be able to to fully flesh out a concept, starting from one word and being able to flesh it out completely into an advertising campaign. So an example of a brainstorming culture would be mind mapping. Again, once you mind map, whatever tool you use to be able to develop a brainstorming culture, the next step is to flesh out the idea. Yes, you do have an idea, but how does that idea apply to the different channels you're going to use? How does that idea reflect on the target audience? How is the target audience going to engage with the idea? How are we going to execute the idea? All that is fleshing out the idea. Then you need to test it, because it's all good recommending things to the client, but if you do not test it, you might not actually realize the impact your concept has on the target audience. So testing is very important because perception changes from one individual to another based on cultural references, background, the way they were brought up, the environment, and so on and so forth. So testing is very important. It might actually bring you to changing the concept slightly or revising it. Now, when you're done, you package all this into, the best way to package your work would be into a presentation whereby you show the step-by-step evolution of from the brief all the way to how you fleshed out the concept, and you need to be able to articulate your ideas. So today everything is digital, so we would usually email the presentation to the client, but there's nothing like human interaction. So I would always recommend that you actually do present your work face-to-face with the client if you do get an opportunity to do so, and you articulate your ideas, because there's always, translation when it comes to text and messaging and so on and so forth. A few things could be lost in translation, But if you're there to actually articulate your ideas, defend your work, then it might be better assimilated by the client. And never forget, the delivery of qualitative work is very important because you need to set the bar. Once you've set the bar for yourself, you will always deliver based on the standard you would like to project in your portfolio. There's one thing I've always said to the designers I work with is never ever bring me work that you will not be proud to present in your portfolio. We tend to do things for delivery purposes or because the client asks for this set of work. Meanwhile, we could deliver more than the client requested for. So I have this principle where I always deliver more than the client requested for. It creates loyalty. It makes the client come back for additional services, and it also shows your worth. So again, I would recommend to you guys as well to never deliver a piece that you would not be proud to put in your portfolio. And the last thing with regards to the creative process would be delivering ahead of time. I know a lot of people that struggle with timelines. And, clients might not necessarily voice their concerns when they're done working with you, but they might not come back to you because they feel that you do not meet timelines. So it's very important there are different ways to establish client loyalty and establish trust. There's customer service, there's the delivery, the quality of the delivery of when it comes to the work, and there's also timelines. So with regards to timelines, always give yourself time and contingency in case things go wrong. So say you need to, initially when you've prepped the quote and the agreement for the client, you need to establish how long the crafting process, the brainstorming process, and the delivery process would take. Should you agree to 2 weeks, for example, make sure that your team or you personally make sure that you can actually wrap up the work under 2 weeks so you can deliver before time, just to be able to impress the client so that they come back to you. Now, another thing, if you do work with a team and you're a lead of a team, one trick that I use, which I'm going to share with you right now, is, and I apologize to my designers right away, is that should the work be, should we need to hand in the work under a week, so 7 working days, I usually tell my team that we need to hand in the work within 4 to 5 days to make sure that they do deliver, to make sure that I do have an additional 3 days to be able to, revise things, add a few touches left and right if needed, and also deliver ahead of time to guarantee client loyalty. So that's about it for the creative process. At times you might skip a couple of steps, at times you might go through all the steps, but it is very important to have a process as a creative. So when it comes to the creative attributes, now that we've dealt with the process itself, a valuable creative has good communication skills. You need to be eloquent, you need to be able to communicate your ideas properly, be able to ask the right questions to get a concise brief in the first place, and you need to be able to convince the client that the route you've taken or the concept you've proposed is actually the perfect one for the topic at hand. You need to have networking skills. It's very difficult for a creative to actually go up the corporate ladder or to evolve and grow if they're overly introverted. There needs to be some level of, like an extrovert gene in there, that allows you to interact with people, network with them, socialize with them, feed off of them, learn from them, grow your portfolio, grow your partnerships, grow your connections. So networking in 2020, let me even say 2018, has been a very big component of our lifestyles in order to be able to get more clients and grow our portfolios. You need to be assertive, very assertive. So being a creative involves crafting and creating, but it also involves some level of marketing because you need to be able to sell your ideas, obviously. So whether you have formal marketing training or not, you need to be able to sell your concept. It's as simple as that. If you're not assertive enough, and the client feels like you're a bit unsure about what you're proposing, or you're just delivering for the sake of delivering, then you've defeated the purpose. So assertiveness involves being confident, about your work, your worth, and also what you are delivering. The next attribute I would like to look at is critical thinking. I do lecture, and I always include an element of creative thinking in the sessions that I give out during my lectures. And I remember when I was in training, when I was in school a couple years back, we did a session where we actually, our lecturer put out a couple of pieces, a couple of artworks that we were supposed to criticize, and criticize with very pertinent vocabulary, and also pinpoint the mistakes and how the creative could have done better and so on. And today, this exercise trained my eye to pinpoint and spot mistakes in pieces, mistakes in video productions, mistakes in photography, when it comes to framing, when it comes to lighting, to grading, and so on and so forth. Mistakes in art pieces as well. So if you can think critically, you will be able to pinpoint the don'ts so that when you are actually crafting, you apply the do's. Hope that makes sense. So let's talk about problem solving. It's very important to be problem solving oriented. Every brief that is presented to you usually has a problem solving component. At times, it's purely for promotional marketing purposes, but you could still find a slight context issue, or what we call attention, to be able to outline the solution you're providing for that problem or that tension. If you're a creative that is problem solving oriented, what you deliver will always have more worth than designing for the sake of design. You need to be innovative. What's the purpose of creating if you're not innovating? I think innovation is very important. If we do include innovation in every piece we craft, it elevates our work to a certain standard. And the next step is thinking outside of the box. Most people, from what I know, the left brain would be the most analytical and rational aspect of how we think, and the right brain has more of the creative components. And thinking in the box means we usually use more of our left brain than our right brain. But with the 20th and 21st century, what we've been exposed to, and the boom of the digital realm, we need to think way out of the box, because obviously everything gets saturated after a period of time. And to be able to create and innovate, you have to come up with ideas that haven't been already implemented. So that's what thinking outside of the box would mean. I would like to address divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Divergent thinking means coming up with multiple ideas. So when it comes to creatives, we have divergent thinkers and we have convergent thinkers. Divergent ones are the people that come up with like a zillion ideas and just put it out there, and just, so many concepts. From one topic, one route, they come up with like a million ideas. Convergent thinkers are able to filter through all those ideas, streamline, and come up with one solution to solve the problem. Okay, so whether you're a divergent thinker or a convergent thinker, usually it's also good to be able to collaborate with people that think the opposite way from what you think. So do a couple of exercises to see where you fit in, and then join forces with people that actually think the opposite way, so that you can come up with the most innovative ideas out there. So those are the attributes of a valuable creative. And beyond that, let's look at the culture, the creative culture. All right, so we've looked at the creative process, we've addressed creative attributes that one should have, and now we want to address the culture. Creative culture is a lifestyle. It's as simple as that. If you want to be a creative, if you are a creative or you aspire to be a great creative, you need to integrate art into your routine. What does that mean? You need to feed off of art. You need to go out of your way to do research online. You need to attend events, relevant events. You need to engage in certain conversations. You need to create content that allows you to feed off of all the experiences. So, for instance, I make it a point to attend creativity related events that happen in Accra whenever I can. You know, it's always good to see art from a different perspective. I make it a point to initiate conversations right here at Basecamp Initiative in the Hub that are possibly controversial conversations, but that open doors for building interesting content. And also, we've set up our hub in a very unusual leisure-like leisure slash work environment kind of environment. And it allows us to feed off of each other's creativity. So you have to make it a point to integrate art into your lifestyle. You have to work with productivity. That's the next thing. You know, we tend to procrastinate a lot. Creatives are very famous when it comes to procrastinating, and also back to timelines again. So when we speak about productivity, the idea here is to know yourself, know your weaknesses, know your strengths, so that you can do better and you can maximize on your strengths. You're the most productive when you're in an area that you're actually passionate about, and when you actually know the the obstacles you have in front of you, so that you can actually do away with them. I would say go on adventures to embrace the new. Don't stay in your bubble. Don't stay in a corner. There's a lot out there to experience, not necessarily both outside of the country and inside the country. Put yourself in the midst of environments where you can learn from. Create opportunities for yourself. Don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Create them. Start conversations. Engage with the right people. Explore, network, and experience. I would like to repeat that. Explore, network, and experience. Be an observer. We tend to, put out so much energy and talk, and at times we don't know when it's time to actually pause and observe instead. It's very important to balance your how much energy you put out versus how much energy you take in. And when you're a creative, creatives tend to engage with other creatives a lot, and from one person to another, one person's light might shine more and another person's light might be dimmer. But at times it's very important to take a step back, to be reflective, and to be able to pick on opportunities that you wouldn't have seen should you be the one talking all the time. So observation is actually important. Embrace risk and do not be afraid to fail. There's nothing such as failure, in my opinion. It's about learning. You either succeed or you learn. Every time you fail, what we call failure today, it's a learning curve. So, risk gives you the courage to explore ideas. And should you not have been in a risky circumstance, or in a circumstance where you failed, you wouldn't have been able to do better next time. So, measure your threshold of risk, but embrace risk. Be a daydreamer. Daydreaming is very important. Allow your inner child to flourish. Trust me, there's nothing like daydreaming and exploring concepts that haven't been explored before. It might seem a bit crazy in the beginning, but once you allow yourself to just explore, you'll be able to tap in your consciousness and come up with very creative ideas. The last aspect of the creative culture is to create. It sounds very basic, but it's actually as important as the other steps. To create means to experiment with work, to fail work, and to succeed. It's a process. You start by experimenting, you fail at times, and you reach success. So the key points here are to build a collection of knowledge and memories that help you seek new experiences to become a more valuable creative, to try something new regularly, and to take a problem-solving approach every time you are tackling a brief. Generally, I would say when it comes to creative thinking or design thinking, you need to empathize with your audience. You need to define the problem properly. You need to develop a collection of ideas and fully flesh the concept. You need to create a prototype, then test the prototype for efficiency. So should you go through the different steps I addressed today, be it from the creative process or the attributes that you have to nurture in your routine or the actual creative culture, in the end, the idea is to grow every step of the way. With growth comes a realm of opportunities and also comes value. Thank you.
I've been working on this. I had worked on this, my biggest project. I think that was about 3-4 months ago. It was this gas station scene. It was my biggest. My biggest 3D projects. It was basically 3D modeling, texturing. I found this new software called MOI 3D. MOI. It's good for CAD modeling, but because of its core, which is NEBS modeling, you afforded a lot of creative freedom to make basically anything you want. You don't have to worry about geometry and whatnot. So I used that project to learn the software, and it worked pretty well. I also did a lot of the modeling in Cinema 4D, which is my 3D modeling program of choice. Yeah, let me show you the files. Let me share my screen so you can see. This is the project. I called it the final stand. It took me about 2 months to make. I used Cinema 4D, Substance Painter, Substance Designer, Rhizome UV. Rhizome UV is for when you model, when you make something in 3D and you want to properly texture it with a program like Substance Painter or Substance Designer, you would have to UV unwrap it. UV unwrapping is more or less it's like you unfold the model, laying it flat in 2D space so that you can texture. So Substance makes it easy to do that. So Rhizome UV is for UV unwrapping. It's really fast. Redshift render engine, it's a GPU based biased render engine. It's really good for rendering. And then Photoshop for post. And then also Moai 3D for some of the assets in the scene, the hard surface assets. Some of them were made in Moai. For example, this gun turret thingy up here was made in MOI. So this is the full scene. I had in mind this post-apocalyptic, scene. So the story behind it is like it's like Terminator. There was this AI which took over, and sees humans as obsolete and is trying to kill them. So that's basically and so there's this man and his family. I think his family are inside here, but I did not spend the time to make them. So this guy is over here, and the robots, the AI have found him, and this is the final stand. So he takes a final stand against the robots. Took a while. Let me show you. Let me look for a higher res version. This is the first scene. This is the fully rendered hero shots. So yeah, try to go as detailed as I possibly could. The leaves and then the robots and a lot of the effects like these sparks and the insects and then the birds were added in Photoshop. The smoke was also in Photoshop, but the main 3D assets are made in Cinema 4D. Marvelous Designer for the clothes, and then MOI 3D for some of the hard surface assets like this. This was an MOI 3D. And then, so yeah, the guy dies. So we have this way, like, he fails in his attempts to hold back the machines. So you see him with the DOF and then the baseball bat as the hero shot. This is also to show off the assets, the detail in the modeling itself. And yeah, this is a phone booth which appears in the final. It's over here in the corner, but like I said, I was trying to push the detail, but you can barely see it anymore. Then anyway, I added it. So yeah, the phone I modeled in Cinema 4D, so subdivision surface modeling, and unwrapped in Rhizome UV, and then textured in substance. I would recommend everyone start using it because it adds that extra dimension to your 3D models, and it's really fast. It's like Photoshop, but for 3D. It has its own layer system and it works wonderfully well. So that's one of my favorite models. This is a grayscale or clear render. Yeah, a clear render of one of the assets in the scene. It's also in the background over here, but pushing details. So we have this modeled in Cinema 4D again. And this is like, these are the machines before they get to the gas station to launch their assaults. This is also in Cinema 4D, all rendered with Redshift. This, I didn't really do any post. This is straight out of Cinema 4D. This is also a clear render of the entire scene to show that it's actually 3D. All of this is just to show off the modeling because I was really proud of myself making this. And then yeah, the gas pumps also pushing the detail that no one would bother going to look for, but pushing myself. Then yeah, so that's the crates with the bottles from the earlier clear render. Adding detail because detail is good. I mean, I feel it's good to push yourself, because you find that a lot of the times Cinema 4D artists have this typical look, like somebody gets like a character from Soldier like that, throw some clothes on it, put some glowy light somewhere, and then calls Aaron about. I think we can do much better. So by pushing yourself, you learn more, you grow, and then you're able to stand amongst the best in the industry. I feel like everyone should do that. That's the only way we will grow. Tired of seeing generic models posed with cloths, and we can do much better. This is another shot. So yeah, hero shots. This thing, yeah, I think it looks really good. Another shot showcasing the detail, the leaves blowing in the wind, smoke, depth of field, the insects and the lights. I think to critique myself, I would do this differently. I don't think the glass looks realistic enough. So next time. And yeah, showing the model, do the deaths. Yeah, the phone and the lighting sets it up that I use in the final. Showing the detail. This is the drone, the AI drone. This I modeled in Cinema 4D, completely subdivision surface modeling. Try to keep the topology as clean as possible. So this is a clear render of the phone scene. Over there. Ignore these. Yeah, there's another angle. A wide angle shot. Using a wide angle lens. So yeah, this. I think it looks pretty nice in this scene. Yeah. My inspiration. Well, I have always loved art. I mean, art has always been my passion. I've been drawing since I was a kid. My dad was encouraging up until the point where he realized that I was good in science too, and also he decided to push me to do medicine. So that's anyway, but I didn't let that stop me from doing art. And so I continue to push despite my profession and its stresses. And I like to encourage everyone to to do their best. I mean, you don't need. I personally don't think school is necessary if you want to be a good artist. It's not necessary. You can do everything learning off the internet. There's a lot of free information online. I mean, you don't need school to be an artist. Yeah, I take my inspiration from artists like Vitaly Bulgarov, Cornelius Damrich, Beeple, and Ash Thorpe. Ash Thorpe is really good. Beeple is very good. Everyone knows him. Cornelius Damrich is fantastic. He makes very detailed work. Raphael Rao, Silverwing, he's fantastic. Goes into a lot of detail in his pieces. Very good. So for this scene, I had always wanted to make a gas station scene, something post-apocalyptic, just to test out my skills and whatnot. So yeah, this is the phone. Sorry. So this is the phone scene, the phone model in the final. So let me change to the final camera. Cinematic. That's cinematic camera. I think yeah, this is the final. So rendering is more or less to render an object in 3D is to simulate how light will bounce around the scene. So after modeling, lighting would be the next thing. And in my scenes, I try to emulate what real life photographers would do to take that shot, because thankfully in 3D modeling software like Cinema 4D, the cameras have all the settings that you would find on real life DSLR. Like over here, you can see the focal length, you can change the perspective. We have the different projections, you can change the focal length. You can adjust it over here. You have all of these. You can change the, I mean, you have all of these options right here. You can do anything you want. So interesting. You can adjust the sensor size, the field of view. So, I mean, you are afforded all the opportunities to emulate real life. And I think doing that pushes your work. Like it makes it stand out from the crowd, because it's different. It's easy to be flooded. Like it's like a needle in a haystack. There's a lot of content out there, but in order to stand out, you must push your work, that extra bit to get there. So the object, there's so much that I can do. Like all of these options over here, you find them on a DSLR. Aside your camera, your lighting must be on point. Lighting is very important in modeling, and a lot of us don't pay too much attention to that. And I think it's really important. This, for example, let me show you. Oh, yeah. I have this scene that I'm working on by the side. It's a car. So let me hide this. All right. Lighting pushes the work. So this is redshift render. It's going to do the render. It has a progressive render and IPR. That is very helpful in look depth. So this, for example, lighting. So this is without lighting. Let me turn off the post effects. This is without any lights. It's only using the default lights in the scene. So in lighting, you have several options. Like in Redshift, for example, you can add different kinds of lights. Like that's Redshift lights. But then I have added some lights over here to mimic real life car photography. For example, let me start with this. This softbox adds a light over here. It's this you see over there. So that's it. And then I add more lights. This light over here, lights this region of the car, and added an umbrella light, which add some highlights here, more lights over here, and then an ambient light, which fills in some of the dark areas. See, so lighting is very, very, very important. I wish people would, and to push yourself, to help you with lighting, what I do to help myself in lighting my scenes is mimic real life photography. So I would Google, for example, portrait lighting, and then like portrait lighting setup, car photography setup, and Google gives you a lot of that. You can get all of that information online, and so I would mimic that. I would place the lights in 3D space to try to mimic what I see there. And more often than not, you find that you get really nice looking renders when you're done. So yeah, it's very, very important. So yeah, this is Cinema 4D. 4D is just, the 4D in its name is just a misnomer, because it's a 3D packaging itself. There's no fourth dimension. So it's just in its name. So this is how it is. It's very simple, very easy to use, and I wish everyone would at least try to dig down into it. There's a lot of free resources. There are a lot of free resources online that people can access to just to start learning it. It's very easy. It's good for motion graphics. It's good for modeling, architectural rendering, and all those things. Let me show you some of my motion graphics pieces. These are some unfinished motion graphics pieces I worked on recently, just personal projects. Those in Cinema 4D. It's one of my favorite loops. Again, very simple. And then there's, where are you? There's this as well. Oh. Man, the whole thing a bit laggy, but 1 second. Yeah, we have this as well. This was also in Cinema 4D. Abstracts, Ghana, whatever. Because I'm trying to push myself into the broadcasting sector, to make some idents over there, but work doesn't give me the time to do that. And then there's this as well. This I never finished. I never finished it. The fluid simulation was made in with real flow. Real flow is good for fluid simulations. It works really well. And then we have this one too. I think it's on my Instagram. It was just a test. I was testing out a new plugin I found. It's good for camera movements. It's a perfect loop. It loops, and then there's this too. Very simple. Took about 30 minutes to make, and with Redshift, it rendered even quicker. But yeah, those are some of my motion graphics pieces. It's been a while. I have not really had the time to do 3D lately because work, coronavirus, and since I always day job. So yeah, those are some of my pieces that I have a lot more, but those will be for another day. Especially that.
Hello, Saibonani. I am Osman Chuma. I'm an art director, graphic designer, and also the co-founder of Bankable's Design Factory, a design studio that is dedicated to creating African-inspired work. I'm from Zimbabwe, born and raised in Zimbabwe, and right now I'm currently in South Africa. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to dEX Artmosphere, a design conference organized by dEX Ghana. I feel honored to be part of this conference for 2020. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in right now for this talk. So I was approached by dEX some few months back, and they gave me this topic: building a strong personal brand. And I think for most creatives, we struggle and to try and create our own brand. And when I was given this, I thought of myself, like I had so many questions to myself, and it also just made me reflect on my current path from when I started. And some of those questions were quite interesting. Now, the first one was, which literally was quite different, was how many creatives are in the world? Like, that was the first thing that I asked myself, like, how many creatives? Like, has anyone ever took time to count, or is it like a study out there that you can be like, cool, there's like millions? And I'm pretty sure there are like millions and millions and millions of creatives in the world, because like right now, like the creative industry is growing vast, and it's one of those spaces that like it just keeps on opening. Right now with the digital age, like more avenues are even opening up. So a very quite interesting question: how many creatives are in the world? And even still, how many creatives are in Africa? Like, the number's still big, like millions and millions again, right? Let's take it back home. How many creatives are in your country, in your city, in your area? The number is still big. Like it's not like, oh, I'm the only creative, right? And even if we narrow it down again, how many creatives are in your industry, and whatever industry it is it fashion design, is it graphic design, is it advertising, is it pottery making? The number's still big. Like, there's so many people out there, right? And so, because there's so many people out there doing graphic design, doing fashion design, that's the reason why you need to do your own personal branding, because you want to stand out. You don't want to be put in the same bowl as everyone else. You want to be, oh, this is me. I do things differently. Everyone else does this. I do this. Like, everyone else is using digital cameras. I use, I don't know, cameras, right? Like, but then that uniqueness isn't just like a one thing. There's so many elements that come together to create this persona that you're trying to sell. And that way it could be either the style of illustration or photography. It could be the approach to projects. It could be maybe how fast you are when you're given it like a task or something like that. It could be your storytelling skills. So there's so many elements that one can use to put together to create this persona that they want people to know that, cool, you know what, if you want something done, go to this person, like this person. And that is one of the reasons why, if you're able to build a strong personal brand, like, people will literally be calling you like from overseas, like, yo, we saw your work, can we please work together? So yeah, like I literally had to just create that chain flow. So like if we look at like my favorite like illustrators, right? This is Apiro on the left, and Riot on the right. They're both illustrators. The subject is the same. political and social commentary, but they're so different. It's because of how they created their personal brand. When you see like Cindy Senor, like Riot, right? Even driving past or like running, you will know, if you've seen his work, you will know that is Riot without even seeing the tag, because of the grunginess, the strokes, like you know exactly when you see it. When you see like there's a pure artwork in the newspapers or like on a website, you will know it's because they've created and took time to literally like craft their skill into that space. These are two fashion designers, Mike Kosa and Sindiso Kumalo. They're both fashion designers. However, they've created their personal brands in a way that you will, if you see Mike Kosa, you will definitely know that's Mike Kosa dress, Kosa shirt, Kosa socks, right? Without being, oh, you know what, I'm not sure. You will be able to identify it there and there. Like same as Sindiso Kumalo. So, and it's that, and some of this like it takes time. It's not one thing that you could do like quickly. And for me personally, I think my personal brand lies in celebrating Africa, right? And then what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to take you through a journey, like my own personal journey to creating my own personal brand. And I can literally tell you straight up right now, right, that when I started this, I didn't know I was creating like a personal brand, but that is the part that I wanted to take, and I knew that I wanted to stand out. I wanted to do things differently. So I think for me, the first part or the first project that I did was way back in varsity when I was doing third year at the University of Johannesburg, right? It was a simple like a wayfinding system project, and we literally had to look for a place and then try and brand it. And for me, I chose a traditional a market that sells traditional herbs, right? And because everybody else was going for malls and a presence and all that, and for me it was like everybody's doing that. Like there's so many of those, and then I wanted something different, and for that it was this place. And through walking into the space and talking to people, like it was this almost like feeling back home, and just feeling connected to the place. And when the project was finished, it was the only project that was like stood out amongst everything else, because everyone had molds, bank stuff, and all the stuff. And then mine was this traditional, a traditional healers market, and everyone was like, "What is that? Where's that place?" Most people had never heard of it. So that was, for me, that was the first, my first step to like realizing my own personal branding. The second one was a typeface design calling your bastard roads, which whereby I was critiquing the colonial system of Southern Africa, right? And then I then learned how to design a typeface on my own, right? And the third one was in 2016, when now I'm in the industry as a junior designer at OpenCore, and I was given the chance to rebrand in the radio station, and even though the brief was like, oh, let's go minimalistic, more modern, my way of modern was looking back into their own history and literally celebrating the Ndebele culture and tradition, and then also pushing the client to literally, like instead of going minimalistic or like very simplified, it was more about, let's celebrate who you guys are. You are in Ndebele radio station, and let's own that. And throughout these projects, it was this growth in me that was like, okay, cool, there's something here. Maybe I should keep on doing that. And through that, even when people look at the work, they're able to see the why factor. Like, why are you doing this? Like why is your work all like this? Even without you being there to explain why you do it, they're able to say, you know what, we want to work with you because we know why you're doing this. You love your home, and we see that. So like one of those projects that I'm going to take you through is this project that I'm currently doing right now, which is literally celebrating African independence anniversaries. Like for this one, it was for Burkina Faso. And by the way, all these are concept ideas. So literally, this is not a paid job. This is literally me taking my time from my practice to literally create something to celebrate the country's like important day. So for here, using the sun mask reference to create the 60th anniversary logo. Here, like using the face, the beautification of people of Chad to create this nice symbol, like for them, like using the mask of the Dan people of Liberia, like the way that they carved the eyes as a framework to create the letter forms for 173 years of independence. Or like for this one, like using the mask's silhouette as a way to create the letter forms for 16. So then when you then now see like the whole scale of the project now, you then, as an exploration exercise, as me just playing around, it's, you then start to see the thread, like that essence of celebrating Africa. It doesn't matter if it's South Africa, Chad, like Ghana, right? Like every single project is literally rooted in the country, and me trying to dig deep into it and then trying to find something to create something out of that. And it's quite like a very beautiful exercise for myself, because what that does is that it then shows people passion that you have for work, and like what drives you, right? Like it's like people are able to see that. And one example is Entrepreneurship Sebastian, and he's so passionate about typography. But when you look at his work, you can see that every single thing in his portfolio is typograph. And now he's now moving into the space of African ancient writing systems. And without even talking to the person, you can tell with the passion that this person is passionate about typography. And his work is also beautiful, right? And this is my work. This is work that I did from 2017 to 2019. Again, like the constant creation of letters inspired by African elements. Again, the same thread. So you can now start to see that, like me taking the time to research the elements, create something, and then putting it out there. And because of all this, like people start to trust you. They start to see the work, and they're like, we want to work with this person. And because of that, you then have growth. More opportunities come. And for me, like some of the opportunities have been is being invited to this event. Thank you again to dEX Artmosphere. And also, like a month ago, I was part of Typographics 2020. And for 2018 and 2019, the Obama Foundation like wanted me to help them with the project. So now because of that amazing, beautiful, or that personal branding that you're creating, people start to see the work that you're doing and trust that you come to you to say, we've seen the work that you're doing. We know that you're working in this space, whatever space that might be. We also want to be part of that. Can we work together? Because they see you as a thought leader, as an expert in that field, and as I said, like the growth because of that, it's you doing so many things, and and literally the benefits are quite big. It could be you getting jobs. It could be you being headhunted. It could be you getting recognition. Or is it what, like, depends what type of recognition it is. It could be like a financial recognition. It could be being published into books or newspapers, or you'll be able to work at your dream job. But I think the most important thing is that you are fulfilling the passion that you have, right? And for me, if I had to try and put this, like to just literally summarize my work, I will say my work, like every single time, like or even like at the studio that we work with, right, is that our work has to be conceptual. Like we have to try to be conceptual, like almost all the time, and it needs to be African inspired, right? And always the underlining at the bottom is like the thing that holds everything is that it always needs to celebrate the African identity in whatever form it is. And that is what creates Osman Chuma, who is Walker Chuma, right? And this can be different for like everybody, right? Like this is just me, like how I would summarize my own personal branding. And I'll say my work that I've created, it has helped me a lot, and then also has helped a lot of people because I've been able to connect with other people, like from across Africa. And the beauty about that is that there's so many people who I'm not just the only one who's doing this or like who's got the same personal branding. I'm pretty sure there are other people there, right? But it's a way that I create the work that people will be able to reach out to say, yo, Oz, I saw your work, yo, thank you. Yo, thank you, brother. I'm from Cape Verde and I saw your work. That was really beautiful. Can we work together? Or literally just someone saying, yo, I'm from Europe right now and your work is beautiful. Literally those acknowledgements of that I'm doing something that people appreciate is quite important. And for me, like most of my work, like the one that I shared with you today, most of it is literally a personal project, which like the first one that I showed you, the celebrating African independence anniversaries, is going to end next year on May, and it's my own passion project, but whilst also pushing my own personal branding through it, right? Like doing what I want. I am the brief. I am the target market, but also the same target market, but also making sure that whatever I create also needs to speak to the people in those specific countries. And it's been like a beautiful journey because, like since 2012 to now, it's been 8 years now, and when I started, I didn't know that was personal branding. I was just doing it, but then I had this feeling to stay cool. You know, like for me to stand out, I should go this way. Like everybody else is trying to do the whole clean, Bauhaus stuff, and I'm like, cool. Well, that is how we're trained. Cool, let's go that way. But I'm gonna bring in my own continent into my work. When you see my work, you need to feel that, okay, cool, this person is from Africa. This person loves Africa. This person breathes Africa. And also, I think one of the things that I think I should literally like maybe one of the things that also maybe sparked that this whole journey was a TED talk by Sakima Fundikwa, like where he talks about how African young designers need to look to Africa for inspiration than outwards, right? And for me, that has been so like very natural, quite organic, because when I think about traditional healers, I'm like, well, I know that, I'm used to that. And then when I sit down to talk to them, it's something that I've experienced whilst growing up. It's not something foreign; it's something close to me. When I look at African mosques, it's not something new. It's things that I've grown up with. So I'd say to to every creative out there, find your own path. Everyone is doing something. If you're a designer, you're part of in your city, how different are you from the other person, right? And there's so many ways to do it. Like there's so many ways. The very fact that we are all different, we've got our own likes. We can tackle things differently. So, as I said before, find your uniqueness. It could be the way you approach things. You could be the only one who designs logos by painting them, or photographing using the very old cameras. There's so many ways to do it. Or you might be photographing and deleting it. There's so many ways. Find your own techniques. Find your own lane that when people see your work, they're we want to work with you. And that way, you'll be able to literally differentiate yourself from everybody else and be able to stand out and get, is it ahead of your careers, or you're getting your job, or things like that. So I'm still working on my personal branding. I can't say it's perfect. It's strong, but I think I've got something special, and I'm not going to be the only one in that space. But I think for now it's quite beautiful, and I think I also like the fact that of working on something, not making it quite finished, but keep on working onto it. So yeah, that is me. That has been my journey with personal branding. I hope it helped people out there. And thank you very much.
Okay, so that was a very impactful session from Osmond. Thank you, Osmond. Thank you very much. Keep the conversation going in the comments. I see you guys. I see you. All my people in Nigeria, all my people in Cote d'Ivoire, all my people in South Africa, all my people in, what's that? Oh, right. Okay, we've got people from Kenya. Shout out to my people in Kenya. Oh, I see you representing hard. Nice. All right, so the hashtag again is dEX Artmosphere 04. Don't forget, share with your friends, link them up. Let's get this thing going. Let's get the whole world on the show. Positive vibes everywhere. Yeah. And as I said before, we are going to launch something really cool. No jokes. You don't want to miss this. This is why I give you my very serious action businessman pose. You do not want to miss this. So, a couple more speakers to go on this show, but also make sure you're participating in the activities, because we've got some good stuff coming for you. Some giveaways here and there, all right? Also, keep tweeting. Hashtag dEX Artmosphere 04.
So, hi, my name is Kelly Wangera Kuma, and I come from Nairobi, Kenya, and I am a graphic designer and illustration. So today I'm going to show you a few of the projects that I have been handling in my illustration field. So for the first one, this one is a magazine ad that I was commissioned for Bachelor Brewery here in Nairobi. So the thing that they wanted me to do was an illustration for their new brand or beer, and it's called Manchi. So the thing that they wanted was me to showcase Manchi on top of, now this is the actual photo for the new brand. And yeah, we had to make it understood for them to advertise in the magazine. So this whole font and everything they provided me with it. And the whole thing was inspired by um, vintage arts for beers. So that's the direction that they were going with them. And that's how they wanted it to look like. So for the next one was for Airbnb magazine, whereby I was to illustrate a full section that featured activities that they wanted to highlight here in Nairobi. So this was one of the illustrations that I did. I have not been able to capture all of them that I made, but I've highlighted the cover page for that section. So they wanted something that included the city and also the wildlife that we have in the Nairobi National Park that is inside Nairobi. So I went around with one of the animals that are mostly found there, that includes the zebra, rhinos, and giraffe. And also here in the background, you can see a lion in some antelope too. And then in the background, you can see the skyline for Nairobi. So this was what they chose, and it was included in this commission was this opener, and then there are 6 portraits for the host in Airbnb here in Nairobi, and also some short illustrations for the building sites. Not more like the building here in Nairobi, and there are also eateries and all that they wanted people to go in. Sorry, I didn't include them here. So the commission took 1.5 months from actualization to the final, and then this was between November and December, and then it was published during March and April. So for the third commission, this one is for CNN, and I was included among 9 other artists around the world that wanted, so the thing that they wanted to showcase was given a brief of showing the world around you, and this is during when Corona was starting. So they wanted us to, it was more of an open brief where you could do anything with that and just show yourself during that time. So what I chose to do was, this is a commute here in Nairobi, whereby these are more of a public transport and the motorbike, which are the usual form of transport that people use. At that time, I was still going to work, so this was more of the scene that I was seeing. And people wearing masks now, and yeah, so that was what I wanted to depict in this artwork. Yeah, and it was supposed to be, it was going on for 2 to 4 weeks from actualization to the final artwork, and then after that, it was published again after maybe 1 month from the assignment. Yeah. And so the other income that I'm here is the Google Google and the commission by Google to celebrate Mekatilili and Meza. So Mekatilili is uh, one of our freedom fighters here in Kenya, and is one of the few women who are celebrated as freedom fighters. So they wanted to showcase her and celebrate her on August 9th because in a town where she's from, it's called Kilifi County, thereby they usually have a week-long celebration for her. So in that time period, they wanted now to feature her for the Kenya Video on August 9th. So what they wanted me to depict is pride and calmness and celebration for our freedom here in Kenya. So we wanted to capture her because there isn't any photograph of her. We had to start from scratch and try to conceptualize how she would have looked at that time. And in this artwork, we featured the Giriama traditional house here in the background. There's also these dancers over here, and we have incorporated the traditional leso. That is this garment that she's wrapped around her that is mostly in the Giriama. So we actually included it here, and also this for this girls here, the four of them, we put the traditional skirt that they usually wear during this celebration, and also the musicians that were over here. So the thing we wanted to highlight is the Kikudu dance, which is a ceremonial burial dance that the Giriama have. So when she used this dance, she would attract people to come and hear her, what she had to say against the colonialists, and urge people not to collaborate with them. And so that's just what we wanted to highlight here. Yeah, and the attract was for 1 month from actualization to when it was published. Yeah, that's all I had to highlight for now. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Artmosphere 4.0. In this session, I will be speaking with Ya Boateng on managing creatives to meet project timelines. Ya Boateng has over 15 years of working experience in advertising. She rose through the ranks of junior designer and became the first and only creative designer within WPP Scan Group in Africa during her time at Scanad Ghana. Ya is one of 15 women selected globally, the first Ghanaian and the only African in 2019 to be a part of Cannes Lions See It Be It initiative to inspire, support, and bridge the gender gap by accelerating the next generation of senior level women in the creative industry. So to start off, I know I've already given this little introduction, but can you tell us who you are and what exactly you do?
Hi, thanks for having me here. So like you said, I'm Ya Boateng. I'm a creative and brand specialist. I must say I'm truly blessed to do what I love for a living. Over the last 15 years, I've turned what I enjoy, that is art, playing with colors, listening to stories, watching ads as a young age, and wanting to know how they do these things. And that's what I'm doing today as a profession. I work in advertising, and like I said, I'm a brand and creative consultant, but I'm a creative director with a design background. Beyond that, I'm interested in all aspects of creativity. So that's who Ya is.
Can I ask what school you went to, or where did you learn design?
Okay, so I went to Achimota School. That is where I started my design work. I started as a visual arts student in Achimota School. It was something that I loved. And I continued after school. I went to the Arts Institute of Bournemouth, and I continued to pursue my studies in graphic design. Yes, so that's where I went to school. So started from Achimota School, and then I went to the Arts Institute in Bournemouth.
All right. What would you say are your daily inspirations?
I would say current trends in our culture. So it's amazing how things that happen around us on a daily could get your creative juices flowing and also spark ideas. So what happens around you informs your creativity. Let me give you an example. We're in this pandemic now, and the way our conversations as advertisers and brands has completely changed. And it's all because of what's happening around us. Now we're very, very sensitive to how we push to our potential buyers. All that has changed. I don't know if you remember some years back, there was this thing that was trending that somebody said, "Who said chia?" Right. It was just something that happened, but everybody picked up on it and it became meme. It became like, you see it in ads, you see it even in movies. That's why I said it's amazing how things around you informs creativity. And through this, people have gotten very creative on even social media. Something happens today, like the Swish challenge, and now everybody's doing it. The Don't Rush challenge. Like you realize that you start informing these little things in your creativity. So the question is, what is new and how can you play on that? Apart from that, our culture, you listen to our music, our dance and our dance trends, our fashion, it can inform your creativity. So for me, current trends and culture, that's what inspires me every day. You just watch, we are getting into the political season. You see, so I know somebody will say something, it becomes a whole campaign. So let's just watch this space. So for me, that's what it is daily trends or our current trends and in our culture. That's what inspires me.
All right. Do you have a creative mantra?
I kind of do. It's yes, I do have one. It's more of something that I wouldn't even say it's just a creative mantra. It's a mantra for me. I always say, always do better than you did last. That's what I tell myself all the time. We tend to get comfortable where we are and we just love to stay there. And as much as some people feel like comfortable is okay, I found my space, I feel it's not good enough. you should always stay relevant. You should always do better. I'll give you an example. The kind of energy and vibe, you put in your campaign, your last campaign, that shouldn't be the same vibe you put in the new one. You shouldn't say, oh, because this campaign did so well, this is what it is, and you are okay with that, and be like, oh, I'm the one who did this ad. No, you should always do better than you did before. And in the same way, even if you did a campaign that was, super amazing, you should see how you're going to make the other one better. If you fail in one, you learn from that. You pick yourself up and say, okay, you know what, these were the little mistakes that I did. And that's what you call like postmortems of like, a campaign. You look at it, see the things that you did wrong, and then later you pick up on those things and then improve on that. So you will make a mistake, you will fall, you learn, do better, and then you rise. So you should never live on your past glory. So for me, every time I tell myself, do better than you did last, just do better.
Do better than you did last. Okay, we're gonna jump into some more creative project management questions.
Ooh, okay.
So first one is, how would you define creative project management?
It's actually seeing and managing projects, within an agency from start to finish. So from the moment the agency gets the brief from the client, that is where it starts till it gets finished. So, managing it, looking at schedules, controlling, coordinating from end to end. That is creative project management. So in the agency point of view. So from the moment you get the brief from the client, that's when the green light goes. From then to it gets finished, even with the stop gaps, the hold and all of that is still in there. So it's how you manage those projects. That is what creative project management is.
And to piggyback off your answer, how does an agency manage these projects?
Okay, so when you look at the scope of an agency, you have different departments. So you have your creative department, you have your account management department, you have your media department, you have finance, you have admin, you have digital. The same way, agencies have a traffic department. So when it comes to the traffic department, it's like the traffic light system, how you have your red, amber, and green to bring law and order in our roads. It's the same thing. The traffic department is supposed to bring some kind of order in the way we manage our projects. So the traffic department is usually responsible for managing the flow of work, just to ensure that whatever project you get or whatever project lands on your table is completed and delivered on time. Now, to ensure like these projects are completed and within the budget as well. So they do that. So they do both managing that project, making sure it gets to the, so when the account management team bring the brief, they go to the traffic department, it's briefed in. They make the traffic department make sure they brief it in to the creative department. Same way, they are also managing and making sure when we are coming up with ideas. So when we are executing, making sure that we stay within the budget, because obviously the client has given us a budget to work with. Traffic managers, they are usually the middlemen between creatives and account management, and they usually bring peace. Every time you work in an agency, you always have the suits arguing with the creatives. It happens all the time. So this is where the traffic person comes in to make sure there's law and order, because something will happen and it's like, no, is this person's fault? Is that person's fault? So the traffic department is coordinating and making sure all this doesn't happen and it's jumbled all over the place. You get what I mean? Just like I said with a normal traffic light, to bring law and order. So that's what the traffic department usually does. So every agency should have a traffic department or a traffic manager.
Okay, can you tell us about one successful project you've managed, the process involved, the challenges, and how to deal with them?
this is going to be very I've worked on quite a few projects that are really, and okay, let me just narrow it to I think I will talk about the Two Ghana campaign. I don't know if you know about the Two Ghana campaign. It was Vodafone Two Ghana campaign. It was the one with the mother-in-law. So yeah, the mother-in-law, you don't remember that one? Okay. So this was back in 2015. So back in 2012, Vodafone introduced this tariff, which was the One Ghana campaign, the One Ghana tariff. I don't know if you remember that ad, One Ghana for your pocket, to the guy in the bathhouse. Yes. So that was the first one. And 3 years down the line, they introduced the Two Ghana campaign. So what a client charged the agency to do is to focus on the validity of the 2 days, because for One Ghana it was 1 day, for Two Ghana it was 2 days. And they had given us, or they had given the customer more data and more airtime, and it could last for 2 days. Now, from the onset, when we got the brief, it was like, how is this going to be relevant to our target? Obviously, when you get a brief, you need to figure that out. Like, when you're coming up with your idea, is it culturally relevant? Is it, looking at consumer insights and all of that, making sure that it doesn't go over the heads of your target. Now, I'm going back to what I told you when it comes to cultural trends and, current trends in our culture. So we went back to think about it, and this thing with wives and their mothers-in-law, you know how it is. So we said, okay, some wives usually run away from their mothers-in-law when they are coming to the house, or they're coming to give advice, that kind of thing. So we thought, okay, I think this idea would be really cool. So apart from that fact, we came up with several ideas. Anytime you're going to a client, you never present them with just one idea. We came up with several ideas, and the client bought into the mother-in-law. So we had an idea of who this mother-in-law should be. And in our culture, we decided to go with a fancy mother-in-law. How they are. They are very prim, very proper. They are posh, and they are able to deliver. You know what I mean? Like the fancies, how they are. So the idea was to use a mother-in-law who gives her son's new wife instructions on how to take care of him, because nobody can take care of my son. So I am going to advise you. So this is right. Yes. And this was the idea. So obviously, when the clients bought the idea, we spoke to the production house. They came in, and we went through auditions. Auditions are usually my favorite part. It can take long, but it's usually my favorite part, because you have different characters coming in. You have some, just giving you OTT, over the top stuff. You have some that, mellow. It's just very interesting in the room when, you're going through all these different characters walking into the agency. So we had to do that for the mother-in-law. We had to audition the wife. We had to audition the son. Then after that, you start looking at obviously, because of our target, how would they relate with the target? So you look at the location. So looking at locations, different types of locations, making sure it's either not too high, the LSM, or not too low, it just fits right. And then also apart from the location, the look and feel, the inside of the home of the mother-in-law. And I don't know if you remember in this ad, I wish you could show it. It shows when the screen opens, so the mother-in-law in her living room, she has loads of pictures of she and her son. It's like, yes, my pride and joy. And she chances upon the wedding photo.
The one picture.
Yes, and it's like, I'm now going to, give this woman instructions on how to look after my son. And because of the tariff, she actually looks into camera and says, thanks to the Vodafone 2 Ghana, tariff, I have 2 whole days to talk. So that was interesting. Usually shoots could go either 2-3 days. This one was a day shoot, but it started like really, really early hours of the morning through to the late hours of the evening. And you see, when you're on set, there are certain things that you need to take into consideration. You're losing light, you're losing, you're losing light, sorry. Then you have other things of, we haven't shot this, we haven't done this. It's just, it can go all hectic on there. It wasn't so, I think the only thing that was probably a challenge was with the models, those who were acting, because when you're shooting ads and you don't have to speak, it's very, very easy to shoot. It's just, this scene, you look at your sheets, this scene, that, yeah. But when you have to talk, or when you have to speak, you need to articulate properly. The whole room has to be quiet so they can pick all the sounds. And for 2 Ghana, the lady we used had never acted before. This was her first time. So she, looking into a camera is not easy. Right. Even
right.
This, you know what I mean? It's not easy. So just imagine you have the whole crew and you have lights and the boom mic and all of that. Yeah. And this was her first time. She was so nervous. So we had to be like really, really, really patient with her. And these were some of the things that, probably delayed and dragged a little bit. And like I said, you're losing light. You have to make sure you get certain scenes right, the angles and all of that. It wasn't so much of a challenge, but it was very interesting. The reason why it was challenging for me, this was my first campaign as a creative director. The first project I ever worked on as a creative director was the 2 Ghana. So there was a lot riding on it. Like, okay, they just made me creative director, and I had to like kind of prove myself, like, you know what, I can actually do this. So the good thing was it was a brilliant campaign. Like, people loved it. It did well for the clients. Vodafone was very happy with it. It was a brilliant campaign. So yes, I don't know if I was able to answer most of the questions.
Yeah, you got everything. Uh-huh.
Yes, that was it for the 2 Ghana campaign. Yes, that was my first campaign as a creative director, and it was challenging, but at the end of the day, it came out great.
How do you effectively schedule tasks without creating conflict?
This is it's a very, very important question you've asked me, because it happens all the time. Basically, by having clearly defined roles and everybody knowing what they're supposed to do. You can't be an account manager and you're sitting there waiting for a graphic designer to deliver your presentation. It doesn't work that way. The same way a copywriter cannot say, I'm not going to oversee the copy, and then the headline and the body copy goes to the client without the copywriter looking at it. You need to really, really clearly define your roles, like who is doing what, and then fix that. If you are done with what you're supposed to do and want to help, that's fine. I'll give you an example of what happened. This is back in 2005. Oh gosh, I'm showing you my age. So this is back in 2005. We were working on this event for our clients who called us in the last minute. It was Nestle, I remember. They called us in the last minute that they needed something for an event. And back in the day, you have 360 agencies where they do traditional print, they do printing, everything, and our agency did everything. So in the rush of trying to get things together, we came together as a team and said, you know what, all hands on deck. We're going to print some folders and we're going to do some banners and this and that. Like, it was for an event. So we all came together and said, it doesn't matter what role you're doing, just help. You think that was the best way to do it. It was the wrongest and the biggest mistake we ever did. And I explained to you why. Us coming together, saying that we're a team, we're coming to work and do this together, that was the biggest mistake we ever made. Because like I said, you need to clearly define roles. We forgot about what somebody was supposed to do. We all just came together and said, we are doing it. So the client's event was supposed to start at 7, was it like 7 a.m.? That's when we were supposed to deliver the stuff to the hotel where they're doing the event. And we were pumped and we had all the energy. We're playing music in the studio. You know, we are like, yes, we're going. And we started working from like, I think it was like 6 p.m. So we said, okay, this person is supposed to fold. This is supposed to do this. This is supposed to do that. And we had a little nice workshop going for us. And we are singing like workers and like, yeah, we're doing it. And I remember it was around, let's say, 11:30 p.m. Boss came in, the MD of the company just came in to see, you know, his staff have been in the office all this while and let me see what they're doing. So he comes in, he was really impressed with the way we had done our whole workshop. You know, he was like, oh, you guys, you're doing well. Okay, continue, keep up the good work. As he got to the door, he said, oh, let me pick one of the folders. You won't believe it. It was the word nutrition. We spelled nutrition. So nutrition is Nutrition. We missed the R between the, no, we missed the I between the R and the T. So it was like nutrit, and we missed the I. At that moment, everybody just stopped. Because if the copywriter was looking at what we were doing, we wouldn't have been in this mess. And guess what? It was on everything. No. It was on the banner we printed. And you see, when you send stuff to the print house, they also won't check because in their minds, the agency has checked all of that. So maybe we've come up with a new way of saying nutrition. So they printed it and they had gone to hang it at the workshop. Oh my gosh, this day, I will not forget. I think we wanted to cry. We all just stopped working. And I remember one of our colleagues was like, look, it's happened. There's nothing we can do. We had to go back to the machine and start again. Just the I. And somebody say, is it on everything? Of course it's on everything. So we had to start all over again. And in that room, the music stopped. The singing stopped.
By force.
It was so quiet. Everybody's just like, you know, and kept on looking at it. Is it spelled correctly? Is it right? And that day, we left the office at 7 a.m. Like we were so tired. So this is what I'm talking about. If you define your roles, if the copywriter had just said, you know what, I'm not going to help with the folding. Let me check every single thing. Wouldn't have been in this. And there's so many, I can give you so many examples. It happens all the time. So we just need to really define our roles, what you're supposed to do.
All right, what are the major tools for managing project timelines?
I will always say this traffic department, this traffic system, that is the major one. You need a traffic department. The traffic department, they are always in charge of scheduling, controlling, coordinating, and also admin. They are your agency in one. They follow through from end to end, start to finish. It's imperative that an agency has a traffic department. With that traffic department, you see, they're able to control a lot of things. I'll give you another typical example. We creatives, right? There are times that we have to get into a zone. There's some people who, every creative is different. You can get some projects and then it comes to you like this. You know what to do. The client has briefed you. You know what to do. There's some other projects you get where you need to be in a zone. If you're not in a zone, you produce rubbish work, like work that is not good and is off brief. It happens to us all the time. Now, the whole point of this traffic manager and this traffic department is to control that, because if you leave it up to us, you will not get your work. Trust me. We'll work on something else, and and then when you're in an agency, there are different clients. You have loads of different clients. So I could be working on one particular job. So let's say I'm working on this beautiful event you guys are doing, and I'm supposed to be focusing on, let's say, the post for social. I'm supposed to be designing that. And maybe you guys are giving some things away. I don't know. And somebody else will come behind and say, oh yeah, this would take only 5 minutes, do it for me. And the 5 minutes turns into 30 minutes. And you have a client waiting for that job. Are you going to tell the client that I was working on something else? It doesn't make sense. So that is why the traffic is imperative to have a traffic department. So they control all of this. And what they usually do is before the account managers come to you, the creatives, they have to go through the traffic department to make sure the job is logged in and not, from the side, we do that a lot, especially account managers. Today I'll trick them. They do that a lot. They'll come, because they have a relationship with you, no, something small, or just take the eye. All that is time. And it feeds into what your other projects as well, what you have to deliver on your other projects as well. So like I can't keep saying it. You really need a traffic department. There are times where some agencies don't have traffic departments, but thankfully, times are changing. There are loads of traffic management softwares available. And what happens is instead of having that traffic department handling that, you have the account managers doing that. So the account managers have a relationship with their designers to say like, look, this is the job, it comes here, I'll follow up, that whole thing. Sometimes the creatives also have it. So they are all in sync and they know when what job is supposed to be delivered and all of that. But I say is the traffic department. That's the major tool for managing your projects and your timelines. They are always on point. And with traffic managers, like I said, they are the in-betweens. So they are the ones who put their foot down and say, no, you can't breathe this in. Or Noko is busy on this job. You can't disturb her. It has to go in the system. So that's how it works. So it's very, very important to have a traffic department.
And to wrap up, do you have any final words for us or for our audience?
Well, it's something I've, picked up over the years. Over the years, there's so many things that you pick up as you're in this industry. And recently, I just picked this up. And it's speaking so much to me. And I think somebody may need to hear this as well. Somebody said this to me, and it's something that I've picked up over the years. And just recently, it's speaking a lot to me, and somebody may just need to hear this. So this is all I'll say. The most fascinating brand one will ever work on is yourself. You should always put yourself first and be the best version of you. Not somebody else, be you. We are all on this earth, and we've all been gifted with, something from above. Honor your human gifts and lead by example. Live your truth, live your passion, live your dream, be yourself.
Beautiful. Yawating, thank you so much for joining us on Artmosphere 4.0. It's been amazing talking to you. I've learned so much. I feel very inspired, especially by your by your final words.
I'm glad I did. It was actually very, very interesting. We had a little banter in the beginning, so it was like, okay, but it was a very, very lovely conversation. I enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll just say, keep up the good work. We don't get a lot of recognition in our industry. So this thing that you guys are doing, well done. Keep doing the good work that you're doing. I'm really proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this session of the dEX conference. So we'll be discussing the power of collaboration. It's really a privilege to be doing this, and really grateful to Daniel and the entire dEX team for this invitation. Yeah, so let's dive right in. I mean, I wish this was a live session, and I would have loved to meet with new friends and and network. Yeah, I mean, it's still fine. We could always network on social. Yeah. So I'm Tunji Ogunye. I'd like to just introduce myself. I'm a design partner at Fort Canvas. Fort Canvas is a brand design agency. We'll talk about Fort Canvas in a bit. And I also lead the designer community. Designer is a community project that's aimed at telling the designer story and design story in Nigeria. And then I also lead design and consult for a couple of startups in Nigeria. So I'm passionate about people, design and education, and I specialize in brand design, and I have growing interest and portfolio in information design and UX. Yeah. So while I was preparing for this class, I was just going through my archives, and I discovered that there's something I've not really called myself in the past, which I've done a lot on, which is a design educator. And I was just going through my archives and see some places that I've spoken, that I've facilitated. And then, I mean, I was amazed. I thought to share with you guys. So maybe after this session, I can call myself a design educator. Maybe put it on my bio, on my CV and something. So yeah, so I would go through each and everyone just in a bit. Sorry, let me just set my timer so I don't exceed. So yeah, I was discussing design thinking at Social Media Week. I was invited by a social design studio in Nigeria, Reboot. And then I was talking about brand design with my boss at work, Victor. We're discussing brand design to product designers and usable. And then here I was teaching editorial design at Orange Academy. It's Africa's first integrated brand experience academy in Nigeria. Here I was discussing layout design, also editorial design at Mark Free Design Bootcamp. In the middle there was 2018 in Ibadan. Ibadan is one of the largest cities in Africa. I was discussing business branding. I mean, how design influences your business as an entrepreneur. And here I was talking to a couple of media trainees on design. And then this bottom left, I was discussing career. Career is one of the things I'm most passionate about, discussing with designers. And then here I was discussing careers with students of Genisa training. Genisa is organized by Bonale Bao. And then here in the middle, I think this is the only design class I've taught myself that I've had to teach directly, teach people, taking them through a course. And this was in Ibadan also last year, 2019. I was teaching a couple of guys about design. And then the last frame was also with Victor. We're teaching design for non-designers in a media agency in Nigeria here. So, I mean, going through this, I mean, you could see that maybe I can call myself an active teacher. I like gesticulating a lot. If this was a live session, maybe you see my hands flying in the air and then showing a lot of signals. Yeah. So Fort Canvas is a brand consultancy studio in Nigeria. I mean, we're about 5 years old now. Now we are a relatively small agency with less than about 15 or less designers, strategists, growth hackers, on the team. So we call ourselves design agencies for the few who know that good is not enough. And then over the years, we've been privileged to work with a lot of startups in Nigeria and even beyond. Also worked with some government agencies. And most of our work this year, a couple of them that we've finished, they've not launched yet, so we don't have the permission to share. And then there's about 3 or 4 that it's ongoing at the moment, that's still in progress. Yeah, but you could be familiar with Piggyverse. Piggyverse is a Nigerian fintech startup. It's a savings app. We worked on their rebrand last year, which was end to end, from strategy to identity to management. And then also, sometime in 2018, we worked with the industrial government to design identity for Develop Ondo, which is supposed to be the face of investment for the state. And early last year also, we worked on the branding of a new commercial bank in Nigeria, Titan Trust Bank. And they launched mid last year. Yeah. So, I mean, they are picking up. I mean, in a saturated environment already, it's good to have an identity that stands out easily. And that was what we did for them. Yeah, and Dear Designer is my brainchild. It's a community here in Nigeria. It's a community project, a community project and a community. And then we launched officially 27 May last year. And then over the past 1 year to 1 year, 4 months, we've been able to do a couple of things within the Nigerian design space, which is so our major goal is to document the story of the Nigerian designer and design, and also to maximize the experience within the community. So, I mean, I'm really, really excited about what dEX Ghana has done and is still doing about sharing knowledge, sharing ideas within the community. I mean, that's part of the things that we do at Dear Designer. We want to make sure that within the community there is knowledge saturation. So when you are thinking of learning, you are not only thinking of learning from professionals outside Nigeria or outside Africa. You are thinking of learning from people like you, those who have gone through what you are about to go through, those who have the same story, the same context as you. Yeah, and over the years, I mean, over these few months, we had an event at Social Media Week last year where we discussed design for the Nigerian. We had a varying panel of brand designers, digital artists, product designers, marketing professionals. And also on the blog, we share articles, profiles, and case studies. That's design.xyz. We share articles, profiles, and case studies regularly. And also we have good conversations. And recently we launched a mentorship program with peers, younger professionals to more experienced ones, to guide them through their journey, to teach them some direct stuff and get to ask questions. So we started August 3rd with 101 mentees paired to 14 mentors. Some mentors have 1, some mentors have 2, some have 3 mentees. And I mean, it was a really humbling experience for me because we had over 1,600 persons apply. I mean, we could only pick or select 101. I mean, it's a good start. We hope that in the next editions, we are able to have more than 101. Yeah, so what is collaboration? Let me just go straight into the topic of today. So I checked Google, and then Google said collaboration is a process of 2 or more people or organization working together to complete a task or achieve a goal. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I call a partnership. I mean, I would still discuss in depth into our typical way of working with our clients, which I think we could learn from. Yeah. So we call it partnership. So the basic definition is an action of working with someone to produce something. So in the creative space, who are the someone that we work with? So who are those we work with in the creative space? Who are the people we have to discuss or collaborate with to achieve the result? So we have clients. Clients are those who, bring us on board of a project that initiate the conversation. Okay, let's do this. Can you do this for me? We have users. Users are those who use the things we're doing, be it a product, be it marketing material, be it a brand design. People use it. People interact with it. Then the in-house design team. So those are the people you work with, maybe in your agency or in your setup. Those are people that you work with to get the job done. I mean, it could be seniors, juniors, interns, illustrators. I mean, and lots of that. And other internal stakeholders, which is maybe the strategists, the creative directors, the product managers, project managers, the copywriters. And also we have our source vendors, which are printers and the likes. I mean, we know those who we outsource to. And it could also be even an illustrator, maybe an agency is working on a project and then they have to bring in a freelance illustrator to collaborate with them on that project. Yeah. So I'm picking it one by one, and I'm discussing how collaboration helps at these various levels. So we shouldn't only see collaboration as working with your fellow designers on your team to achieve something for a client. You see it as 360 degrees, that's all around. You're trying to see how your work can permeate through every level. So the theme for this event is creative entrepreneurship, which is establishing designers to think beyond creating and think business and think achieving more for themselves and think because many times a lot of designers are only focused on the skill, only focused on the software, only focused on typography, only focused on colors. But I mean, this is a level, but to achieve the next level, we all need to learn beyond design. We all need to understand entrepreneurship. We need to understand business. We need to understand how what we do affects our clients and affects people. Yeah. So I started with clients. So there's something on our website that says great work done together. So at Fort Canvas, we don't work for clients. We work with them. And that's one of our biggest assets. So we don't see ourselves as vendors. We don't see ourselves as get this done. We see ourselves as partners. We see ourselves as how can we help you? In what best way can we be of help to your business? Understand? And then partnership involves you having an ownership mentality that this is not just doing something for someone, this is doing something with someone. You are ensuring that you are not just there for the money, you are not just there for the gains. You are there to ensure that the business progresses. You are there to ensure that the client needs are met. You are there to ensure that their goals, their business goals, they are achieved. So great work done together. What we do with our clients is that at every phase, we are in talks with them. Mornings, afternoon, nights, we are in talks with them. We ensure that we carry them along in every stage of the process. So it's not a case that we go AWOL for weeks and then we come back with solutions. You understand? We ensure that along the process, along every milestone, they are carried along. So when they see the result, it's not strange to them. It is something that we are arrived at together. You understand? And that's something creatives must understand. That for clients and creatives, we are coming from two different worlds. The client is thinking business, is thinking numbers, is thinking people management. But creatives are thinking visuals, they are thinking design elements, are thinking about a lot of stuff that are fancy, that are technical for the client to understand. And then if you must truly do something great, you have to leave where you are and learn from the client and try to understand the context that you're working on, try to understand the peculiarity of the project. And the only person that can supply this effectively is the client, because there is no way you can understand a business or a project without having spoken effectively to the stakeholder, to the business owner. Yeah. So, and this shouldn't be done at the start alone or at the end. You should make sure that at every level, at every stage of the project, you are in talks. If you have questions at any time, you should be willing to pick up your phone, put a call across, or send a mail and clarify. You shouldn't shunt the communication gap while the project is ongoing. You understand? So you still stay in touch, because that is true collaboration. You are not just because what happens when you do a project and then you move on, you go AWOL and then you come back after a while to say, okay, this is the result. What happens is that the client feels strange. It feels like, I mean, we're not talking for a while and then the result is here. Understand? At some levels, that could be permissible. But at some other levels, it may not work. It won't work. The client wants to understand everything you are doing. He wants to be carried along. And that's what we do at Fort Canvas. We ensure that throughout the process, we are in constant communication. We're in constant talks to them. We are open to everything they have to say. And then there are some myths about clients that affect collaboration, which I would like to dispel. So a lot of times you say they don't know what they want. That's not true. Every client knows what they want. The issue is always in the context, in the gap. So they may not be able to communicate what they want in the way that we easily understand. But the thing is, if we ask correct questions, if we ask the true questions, we can feel the pulse of what they really want for their business. And then we can go ahead and then carry out and then interpret it to design, interpret it to how it influences people directly. And then people say clients know nothing. That is not true. There is no much of a thing you know that trumps what the client knows about his or her business. The client is the god, in quote, of the business. And then you don't go around and think that the client knows nothing. The client knows everything about the business, more than you will ever know. Understand? And then if you're creating something for the business or for the project, you should learn very well of what the client knows about the business, because that influences your work directly. And then people say clients are problematic. That's not true. Clients want the best for their business. They want the best for their project. They want the best that can be done. And then they will go all out to ensure that they get that best from you. Understand? It is your duty as creatives to ensure that you don't see the advances as problem. You see it as concern. You see it as what needs to be. You understand? So if we clear all these myths, we would collaborate better with clients. We would get the best result. Because really, the best result is not when we do our best. It is when we understand what the client really wants to achieve, and then we infuse our own knowledge, our own perspective, our own expertise to make sure to bring that to life. So the goal is not that we express ourselves creatively. It's not that we use the elements to solve the problem. The goal is that we understand deeply what the client wants. We understand deeply what the client, what the expectations are, and then carry that into the project. Now, for users are those who eventually use anything we do. Target audience, demographics, users. I mean, these are people that eventually use what we do for the client. So it's important that we understand what their pain points are. You understand, and we know how to interpret their indirect cues. So the users are not technical like we are. They won't tell you that I want color yellow. They won't tell you that I want color red. You understand? But by describing in words, I want to feel comfortable. That's a cue you can pick from. I want to feel lively. You understand? So these are the things that users might tell you, and then because they are not technical people, if care is not taken, you might not interpret what they're saying well. But you have to understand that users would go as basic as they can be, as expressive as they can be. You understand? But it's our duty to interpret these indirect cues to things that can be visualized there. So, and always get feedback and test, always. Most of the time, we are always engrossed with our own stuff that it looks perfect to us. It looks very good to us. Understand? But at the end, we are just one in a million of people that will use that thing eventually. So it's important that we get feedback. Let us talk to them. What do you see? Use this product. How do you feel? Look at this ad. What does it make you feel? You understand? And get tangible and get real life results from these users. It's better to test with one user than to at every step of the process than to wait to the end and then test with a number of users. At every stage, at every level, we need to get feedback. We need to be in constant talks with the users. And this is not rocket science. It could be as direct as talking to your friend that is not a designer. It could be as friend as good as talking to your family member that's not a designer, talking to your younger ones that are not designers. Yeah. So next level is in-house design team, non-design or design. So in a team, we have to understand collaboration as a strength thing. It's not the case of, I can't do this now, you're feeling bad. No. Understanding your strength and weakness is a spine of collaboration. So you have to know what you can do. You have to understand what you can't do, at least for now. Understand? And then you bring your strength to the team, and then someone else brings his own strength to the team, and someone else brings his own strength to the team, and then we achieve something great. So the truth is that we can't know everything. I'll come back to my previous slide. The chances that you will do everything very well are way lower than the chance that you do one thing better, at least than your colleague and friend. So I always say that you can't do everything. You can't do everything. I mean, nobody can do everything. So don't try to. But let's assume you can do everything. But the chances that you can do everything is way, way lower than the chance that you can do one thing, at least that one thing better than your colleague. So we should focus on that one thing that we can do as creatives, you understand, and bring our strength to the thing. It doesn't mean that we totally neglect these things we can't do, you understand. It means that as we are picking up the things we can't do, we have even people to teach us. So imagine I'm on a team with Daniel, for instance, and then Daniel is a crazy typographer. Daniel understands typing, he understands typewritten, he can create a custom typeface. And me, for instance, I am very good with image treatment, which Daniel is not good at. So if we work together, I bring my strength from image treatment, Daniel brings the strength from typography, and then we do something amazing. So in the future, if I want to learn typography, because Daniel has mastered typography, it's easy for me to learn from him. Because I've mastered image, it's easy for Daniel to learn from me. But if we all go out in the first place trying to learn everything, and at the end, we just know a little about everything. You understand? Now, there's hardly anything I'll be able to teach Daniel because what I know, Daniel knows. And then there is no strength. There is nothing Daniel can man. There's nothing I can man because, I mean, we are all basic level. So it's good that we understand strength. We understand strength, and that is what brings the best out of a team when everybody is at its full strength. It doesn't mean that you won't learn every other thing, but there's something you are bringing to the team that is that is invaluable, that is priceless. So collaboration brings the best in the team. I spoke about that already. And don't feel used. So let me just talk about this briefly, because a lot of times creatives in an agency, they feel like they are being used. Even if that is true, you understand? Focus on yourself, because at the end, it is for your profit. It gain a lot. You understand? At the end of everything, it is you that gain a lot. That I mean, the things you learn under duress, the things you learn even against your will, at that time might prove very important to you in your next career phase, in your dealing with the next client and working on the next project. So even if you feel like I am being used, even if you feel like I am being I am not doing what I want to do, I am doing the things that maybe I really do want to do in the first place. But really, in that thing is strength, because at the end, it is you that is learning. Even though it's bringing more money to your team, but you are learning, and you have that thing that you've been meant to do without your interest. It is you that is learning eventually, and then it could prove very vital for you. So don't feel down, and also fail to learn, because at that time you are losing at both ends. You likely lose your job, and you're not learning. So why not just in that process of being used, in that process of feeling as if you are doing what you don't want to do, why not focus on that thing that you can learn, that can prove valuable to your next phase? Now, as I round up, the strength of collaboration is clarity of communication. So at every level, you're working with a strategist, you're working with a copywriter, you're working with a fellow designer. You have to be clear, and you don't just communicate what you want. You also communicate why you want what you want. You communicate what this thing that you want, what it will achieve. What this does is that it brings the other person in the same vein, in the same light as you. It brings the other person that, okay, this person, this is what he wants, and this is why he wants what he wants. So you don't just communicate what you want. You communicate why you want what you want. You communicate the effect what you want would have on the end goal. You communicate your metrics. So in that way, you are bringing the other person to the same knowledge, the same light as you understand? So communicate clearly. That's the strength of collaboration. Communicate clearly, you understand, to the other person that maybe wants to assist you in doing something. And second thing is individual ownership. How we all can do the best of, achieve the best of what we want to achieve is by owning that thing that's been put on our laps. So you don't just feel like, I will do what I can do, and then every other thing can happen. No, you are trying to own it. You are trying to ensure that this part, this 1 of 5 that was committed to your ends, you own it as if it's your company. You own it as if it is yours. It's your brainchild. It's something that you have to do. It's something that you are owning as yours. Imagine it's yours. How would you do it? So you're not just seeing collaboration as that. I mean, I will do what I can do. I can't kill myself. It's a popular parlance in Nigeria. I can't kill myself. No, own it. Take responsibility on that one thing that you're doing out of 5. Understand? If everybody of the 5 takes full responsibility, takes full ownership of that part of the project, of that part of the project, at the end, we're achieving so much more, because nobody is babying the other person on what he's supposed to do. If it's just a little thing, if it's just let's have color options for this identity, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're not dealing with sketch. You're not dealing with finding typeface. You're just let's see the color options. You have to go above and beyond and exhaust everything possible according to your knowledge. You don't just say, I will just do what I have to do and then move on. No, you have to own it. You have to communicate with your juniors, communicate with your seniors, communicate with everybody around you. That's 360-degree leadership. You're trying to make sure that you're not just a lone ranger. You're talking to those beneath you. You're talking to those ahead of you. Understand? Because there's something you need to give at every level. You need to give guidance for those coming behind. You need to give support to those who are above. And then you need to share some knowledge on your level among your peers. And then this is the path to creative entrepreneurship. Owning it. Because at the end, it will be you alone doing much more than you're doing. It will be you doing project management. It will be you doing client communication. So, but if you don't own that one thing, as tiny as color is, if you don't own it, then it would be a big issue for you to own more than it eventually. Yeah. So, and I will close with this story from recent project 4C, which is about communication, so we're working with a client. It was a while ago, and then we are at the face of a project. And then all we were concerned about was trying to express an identity. And then the client was talking about he needs to see a bit more color options. Yeah. And then it was communicated, but what was communicated was just what they wanted. And what we were communicating was just what we also wanted to do. And then it seems as if it was in line. But we didn't talk about the intent, we didn't talk about the goals. So you don't just end at talking about what you want in communication. Because that person is not a zombie, he's not a robot. He won't just say, oh, let me do this and then I'm done. The person wants to also feel like human. He wants to understand why you're telling me to do what I'm supposed to do. Why? You understand? What does he want to achieve? And it's until we have this information that we can own it, that we can own a project. So in communicating, you have to ask questions. You have to be clear. Don't assume you are clear. When the person has spoken to you already, you might try to summarize. Okay, so what you're telling me to do is to do this, and to do this, because of this, because of that, to achieve this. So if you try and restate it, then it says, yes, okay, this is what I was talking about. It says, oh, no, you're correct there, but this is not correct. So it's important that we clearly communicate, and communication is two-way. So it's not just from the person giving you directives. It is also from you getting the directives. And the truth is that, no, you shouldn't leave to get directives. You shouldn't leave to be directed. You should leave to discuss, to profile solutions, to own a part of a project, not just to, all you have to do is just take directives and execute now. No. All right. So I think I spent a few minutes more, but this is the end of the session. So we can always connect on social. Fourth Canvas is the agency I'm a partner at. Dear Designer is the community I spoke about earlier, and the Tunjo Going is my personal account. So you can always connect on social. If you have any questions to ask, if you have anything that we think we can maybe talk on and do together, just message me on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere. This is my handle. And then if you want to keep tabs on the community that I'm building, it's Dear Designer. And then also on our projects at Fort Canvas. It's at Fort Canvas. Yeah, thank you so much, the Ghana design community, dEX Ghana. I hope to see you guys maybe in the near future. And then let's stay safe. Let's keep safe. I mean, for all creatives who are joining this session all over the world, let's stay safe. Let's maintain social distance. Let's use our masks. Let's do our personal hygiene. Yeah. Thank you very much, Daniel. I'm using props here.
Great. So my name is Nana Kojodia, and I'm a designer, creative director of a small design and brand firm called Oxygen, based in Accra, Ghana. A few things just to share, as a creative, how to, deal with the angst that comes with the job that we do, or what people tend to call imposter syndrome. How did it start? I think when I started my journey in this whole profession, the whole idea of being a professional was what probably started me off on this downward trail. What's a professional? So you do things appropriately, you do things on time, and then you try to diminish a lot of risks. For a creative person, yes, it starts off sounding all nice and pretty, but over time you realize it's like the antithesis of what it is that you stand for, because the whole point is you're trying to avoid failure. And we all know as creative people, failure is what makes us grow. Failure is what gives us inspiration. Failure is what gives us ideas we never thought about. So yes, as trying to be a professional, the more and more and more and more and more I tried to be a professional, the more I realized it was just becoming a burden. It was becoming something which wasn't helpful. And slowly I was getting a little staid, because the whole idea of trying to push boundaries as a professional, because somebody sees your work, I like this kind of work, therefore I want you to replicate it for me. So the reason why you're getting more and more people is basically because they've seen your work and they want something similar. And so it means you now have to create something which we call a brand. And it's weird how I keep talking about branding, but it's a word which I personally am not too pleased about. But branding works because it helps people, it gives people a quick shortcut as to what it is that you can offer. So they know that, yes, when I come to this person can design, this person is a 3D artist, this person is a musician, whatever it is, it gives them a sense of what to expect from you. But it also tends to limit you because all they'll know you for is, okay, this person is a typographer, or this person is a keyboard player or a guitarist or whatever it is that you do. It could be that you do other things, but it's good for financial purposes. It's good for career growth. But for yourself as a creative, you realize it becomes quite limiting because there are other things that you wish to do, or other things that you wish you want people to know you for. So yes, being a professional became a limitation for me. When I say professional, I hope you understand what I mean. Became a limitation for me because I was trying to replicate my successes over and over again. And when that happens, it means I'm not taking as much risk as I wanted to, and I am gradually becoming, a cookie cutter kind of solution provider. And thereby the whole angst began, the whole idea of, am I really a design professional? Am I really a creative person as I profess to be? Because deep down, you could really push it, but you feel the need to replicate what has been working already, and therefore it becomes a continual pattern where, yes, the client loves the job has been done, you've been paid, but deep down, you really don't believe in what you've done. So that became, a big problem for me. Yeah. So how did I try to overcome this? A few ways. Of course, it took a while. It's a journey, and I'm just trying to package it for your benefit to see how it might also help you on your journey. I had to realize that yes, there is the business world, for what is that we do, because as design professionals, we are commercial artists. We sing the tune of the client, but also as a creative person, I had to understand that I'm not the only one feeling this way. Most people, most creative endeavors have the same feeling of inadequacy, the same feeling of I could do more, the same feeling of I'm not really giving all to my client. And so nobody is immune, and so gradually, by trying to understand that, I got to the position where I was a little bit at ease, knowing that I'm not the only one facing this issue. On the flip side, also understanding that there was always somebody better than I was. Yes, you can be as professional as you want, as creative as you want, but there is always a better person out there. There's always somebody better than you are, and therefore it helps you calm your nerves by understanding that you're not the only person who's going through whatever it is that you feel that you're going through. But one of the telltale signs for me in trying to get over this whole idea of the angst and the feelings of inadequacy was when I need to design for myself. It's one of the most difficult things ever to do, and that's where it becomes very apparent. You're like, oh my goodness. So I do it easily for other people, but when it comes to me, imagine you're a cook and whatnot. You might cook something like that, but if you're cooking something for yourself, you want it to be, and you realize it is so difficult, and you're not willing to cut corners, and so then deep down you start to realize, have I been giving the same effort to the work that I do? But the whole point is, it's as a creative endeavor, it's personal, and every creative person knows how deep the personal connection is, and therefore when you end up doing things for yourself, it's not because you're not putting all your all your efforts into doing it for other people. But it's just that when it comes to you, there are no, there are no barriers, and there are no guards for you to, execute what you want to execute, and therefore you have enough time, and you can put in all your passion, and you can be angry, and you can be sad, and you can cry, and then at the end of the day, there's success. Yeah, so designing for yourself can be one of the ways you can try and understand these feelings of inadequacy. As it comes to designing for yourself, you really put in your effort, you put in everything, you know, because working for clients, there are a lot of limitations, there are a lot of barriers. So the only way you can really get above these kind of things is to, initiate some personal projects as a countermeasure. And then you realize that with these kind of projects, you throw in everything, it can really stretch you. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, you're not putting as much effort into your client's work. They're just two different things. And by understanding these kind of things, you're able to manage these feelings of inadequacy. People come to you for your difference. It's strange when clients come to this realization as well that customers or consumers don't really come to you because you have the best product. They tend to come to you because you are different. So it put me at ease, where I realized, okay, it is my difference which I can enhance. I don't need to be the best person. I'm different in my own way, and therefore this is the kind of solution that I'm going to provide. It doesn't have to be the best ever. It just has to be appropriate for the client and different for the client. And then deep down to know that I'm not trying to diminish any risk for this client. I'll be replicating the success, not the model, but the principle of trying to make this client succeed. Why is it that the client liked the first work or the first job that you did for somebody else? It was because it was bold. It was because it was out there, and you like to think it kind of drew the kind of attention which helped that client. So for anybody coming to you, that is what they want. They don't necessarily want the same solution. They want the result. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between creating the solution and creating the result that the client wants. Yeah. Moving on, the feelings of inadequacy, of course, it never stops. The best way to describe it would be like having a book, and on the outward, everything's nice, the cover well bound, your design, everything's perfect, pages are in there, but there are missing chapters in the book. No one might know this, but you, the owner of the book, can tell that something isn't right, and that's the feeling you have. Outwardly everything looks perfect, but there are missing chapters in the book. The good side is you have the ability to fill in those chapters. Most creative people, apart from of course those who go to the full extent of having formal education, learn on the job. Most are self-taught. You might start off as a illustrator or whatever it is, and end up being a brand strategist. You might start off being a graphic designer and end up being whatever it is. So that feeling is always there, where you think there's something that you don't know, you don't have, you don't grasp. If you compare yourself to other professions, you might tend to think, I am lacking in a certain area, which in turn starts to build up this whole feelings of inadequacy, feeling that you really aren't what it is that you claim to be. But that's the beauty of creativity, because you can't formalize it. And so understanding that is one of the ways to help you, calm your nerves, and to know that, yes, it's not about, the formality of what it is that but it is about how you're able to solve that problems using your creativity, which is something that I feel you've been doing all along. Outwardly, one of the ways I try to counter these feelings was to stop trying to appeal to what people expected of me. So going back again to this whole idea of professionalism, you want to start off as a professional, with the shirt and the tie, you go for meetings and that kind of thing. Yes, it's valid, but for me, at a point, I realized, okay, if the work can speak for itself, the work was strong enough and potent enough, then I don't think the client was really expecting wearing a suit and a tie for such encounters. And moreover, they tend to even see agencies or agencies or firms, design firms, design studios, who stereotypically, are a bit more casual in their outlook. So with time, I stopped wearing the suits and the ties and the shirts and tried to be more of myself, because it just helps mentally. It helps in getting the work done the way I want it to be done. With design work, with creative work, the idea that it is not serious can plague you, because for most creative designers, professionals, it's as if you are playing. It's as if it comes so easy to you. You're able to just draft things down and execute stuff, and people are clapping for you, and the adoration is there. That's, oh, it's so wonderful, it's magical. How did you come up with it? And I kind of, it feels very easy. It's not easy, but it just feels very easy. And one of the tricks is to make it look quite easy anyway. And so that feeling that it's not serious. I mean, if you sit back and you're like, doctors and lawyers, and that looks like a very, very serious work, whilst mine just draws from, God knows where, and it's executed and it does its job. So that feeling of balance, trying to understand that, yes, even though it might be coming easy to you, it doesn't mean it is not serious work. So that's one of the ways to help resolve your feelings of inadequacy. Another thing was trying to share my work, because if you feel you're a fraud, you hardly want to share some of your work, because you feel maybe somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to say, this work looks like this person's work, or this work looks like that person's work. So it was one of the things that I tried to do was, hey, share my work. Not all will be perfect. Not all will be, top notch, but at least it goes to show the breadth of your offerings. And one of the sayings I go by, this so Maya Angelou speaks about creativity and how the more you use it, the more you get back. So by sharing your work, whether it is great or not, works that didn't win pitches, whatnot, even whatever it is, it gives you the opportunity to humble yourself, so you don't take yourself too seriously to the point where you start to feel you need to have a certain sense of perfection in everything that you do. And ultimately, it also brings joy to a lot of people. They're like, oh, great, oh, I saw this, oh, I love the way you are thinking, and this kind of thing. And gradually, it helps reinforce the idea that you are not, a fraud. You are not incapable. On the flip side of that, by sharing your work, it attracts a lot of criticism, which if you're not taken carefully, which you're not taking, if you don't consider it carefully, it might end up making you feel that, yes, it confirms what you've been thinking all along. You are not good enough. You are masquerading as something that you are not. Because when criticism comes in and you're not able to sift between, let me just call this the trolls and the proper feedback that can help you grow, it can end up affecting your work in the long run. A situation happened a few years ago where I did a piece of work for somebody, and somebody came up and says, why is it because Anakojo designed this piece of work and therefore everybody's going goo gaga over it? And everyone's trying to explain to him, no, check out the work because of this or because of that. And later he came to realize, why whatever it is, was appropriate for the client, and I guess I won a new fan. So that could be something I call the superstar syndrome, where you end up in a stage where anything that you design, just because you designed it, ends up being termed as good. Not that it necessarily is good, and that could start insulating you against criticism, start insulating you against proper feedback, to the point where if you actually hit a roadblock, you start to think, all is lost, and therefore you weren't the person that you have been trying to project. But there are a few ways to round up, which I feel can help. There's this famous artist, I'm sure you've heard of him, it's called Picasso, and looking at his life and picking up examples from his life, it has helped me fashion out, a path where I feel more confident, and I feel, less of the angst and less of this imposter syndrome. The first thing he advises is for you to kill your masters. And what does that mean? Of course, we're not killing anybody in person. We're killing styles. We're killing trends. We're killing the things that we've learned, which is helping us. I know it's a logo, therefore it has to be a word mark, or it has to be this, or it has to be, a symbol. We're killing all of that. We're going in there with a full sense of curiosity. We're trying to understand the brief, turn it upside down, reverse it, whatever it is. We're killing every preconception. By killing our masters, we kill off anything which we've done in the past. I'm sure you've heard the term, you're only as good as your last performance. Whatever it is that you do, whether you're a photographer, you were a graphic designer, you're a musician. What if your last performance was quote unquote rubbish? What if your last performance was, is that you? Kill off your masters. Kill off anything which affects your style, anything which, you are known for. Oh, this person is known for this, nice typography. This person is known for, bold colors. Yes, it can help you at a point, but to stop these feelings of inadequacy, you need to kill these things off. Every project you get, you start afresh. I'm not saying throw everything that you know away. I'm saying start afresh. Go into every project with a full sense of curiosity. The second thing is to use whatever it is that you have at your disposal. A lot of creative people want the best products, the best gear. If I don't use a Mac, then the work is not, it's not it. If I don't use, whatever it is, it means the work is not up to scratch. Picasso ended up he had different stages in his career where he used just one pigment for all artwork. So his blue period, for example, he used just blue pigments, blue inks, blue paint to do all his pieces of work. The principle of that is whatever you have at hand, do not feel, because I do not have A, B, or C, I cannot execute the job or I cannot meet the standard. Because there will always be something new coming. There will always be something fresh and something innovative and whatnot. But the core thing is whatever that you have at your hands, those things are simply tools. And therefore it is within you to use those things to create. And most times as creative people, the more limited you are, the more creative that you become. By understanding this, it also helped me calm myself. Third point is trying not to repeat myself, or yourself. Try not to repeat yourself, because it's very easy to. It worked last time, it's going to work again. Yes, it will work again. But over time, people start to say, are you a one-trick pony? So if all your solutions are this kind of style or that kind of style, after a while, you become known for it. It becomes your brand. But in the long run, it doesn't really help you, in your development, in your growth. And then gradually, those feelings start, popping in and popping in and popping in. It took me a long while to understand this, because your work is clean, it's minimalist, it is God knows what, but deep down you can offer more. Deep down you want to really push boundaries. Deep down you want to really show off your creativity, of course, in sync with the client's briefs and objectives and all those kind of things. So the idea might be, yes, replicate the principle, but don't replicate the methods by which you use to get to your solution. The fourth part is to always stay green. Always try and be humble. It's something that's always in the back of my mind. Nana is this or Nana is that, or whatever plot is that you get. Take it with a pinch of salt. I always say take it with a whole shovel of salt. Not to say that you don't appreciate what people when people are appreciating you and when people are, giving you, props and that kind of thing. But keep grounded, and keep learning. It's Steve Jobs who said, stay green. The idea is when you arrive, you start to rot. And Picasso says it beautifully. To copy others is necessary, but to copy yourself is basically pathetic. So the idea is just continue growing. You never arrive at your destination, because success, basically, when you arrive at your success, when you arrive at your point where you think you're a success, then the game is basically over. The last point is to give your gift away. You can mentor people, you can teach people, you can train people, you can give interviews such as this. So after you've amassed all this knowledge, Picasso is saying, give it away. Maybe not for free, but the point is contribute. Give back to your community, give back to others, and hopefully by putting all these things together, it would help you, deal with those feelings of inadequacy, those feelings of angst, or those feelings of imposter syndrome, and help you on your journey as a creative professional.
If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much, and we all know you have the makings of a great designer because of your patience. If you really loved it, you can always come back and watch it here on YouTube. It's going to sit here waiting for you. You can share with your friends who weren't able to experience it live, and also your feedback is really needed, so don't forget to put it down in the comments below. Right now, dEX as a community is on a journey to collect the data from over 5,000 creatives in Ghana. If you're a designer, an illustrator, if you're in the creative industry, your data is needed. We're going to make the data public. However, we're going to make sure that your personal information is protected, so rest assured. dEX as a community is also going to make sure that we sort of extend this service to countries like Kenya and Nigeria through partnerships with people like Nairobi Design Week and their designer. So rest assured that we'll get to where you are pretty quickly. Thank you so much for experiencing the dEX 4.0. We hope that you enjoyed the journey, you enjoyed the experience. You're going to share with your friends, like I said earlier. Comment again down below, and see you next year. It's been fun having you. Bye. So we have come to the end of the show. 5 amazing speakers, amazing portfolios, the activities, the launch of dEX Count, and of course, you guys. Impossible without you guys. Impossible without you guys. We say thank you for participating, for sharing the links, for doing every little thing that you could do to make sure that you and others enjoyed this show that we put together for everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Remember, stay safe, wear a mask if you have to, sanitize, and I see you guys in 2021. I have been your host, Lee Vanderpool, holding down the post. Peace.
Feel like I was free. Now it's just broken pieces of me. I don't know why you pretend. No, I don't wanna be at your party, seeing you right next to somebody. Why do you keep on trying to, when you know what we shouldn't do? Even though that I want you, why don't we go figure it out?